Fortnite has just removed the hover jets from tournaments. Don't worry, it's still in ranked and still in pubs, but this is going to be a massive change leading up to the FNCS Global Championships in 2 weeks, and of course on things like solo cash cups, if there's any skin cups, and every other tournament that's in this season. So let's break it all down. Firstly, the actual tweet, they stated gameplay update, hover jets are removed from tournament play. Kind of basic line. There's also a couple other changes. Chests that sometimes did not contain a weapon have been fixed, which is very, very annoying. So I'm very happy that they've managed to fix that. And the third, which is another important update, which is armored walls will be capped at a lower number in next week's update. So it's not so this is not currently live, but what next week it'll be 6 rather than 15. Because, as I mentioned in my main channel video, being able to carry 15 armored walls is quite literally insane. Now, 6 does mean if you're carrying a max stack, you can still box yourself in. However, if you break a wall, you can't then replace that with another armored wall. So, it basically means if you want to fully box yourself, you can do that once, and then after that, you're basically completely dead. So, not bad at all. Very, very happy with these changes. My comment underneath is literally W for tournaments. So, I'm happy with these changes. But what is the main reason the hover jets have been removed quickly if you do not know, and then we'll go on to like what big impacts this is actually really going to have. The first, if you did not know, there's a massive dash bug that you could do across the map. Now you could do this using either the water dashes around Grim Gate, and you could fly basically like a quarter of the way across the map through the sky. Maybe that's a little bit far, very, very far. You could also do it using the nitro rings. You could do it bouncing on umbrellas, or you could also do it bouncing on little what they call little tires as well. So there's a lot of bugs with this, which made it kind of unfair because you could basically traverse the map in almost, I think you could go like one side to the other in almost 60 seconds, which was not fair at all. Now, actually, they removed this and nerfed this right before taking them out of competitive. So although this was a big problem, and a lot of players were tweeting about this, in particular, I think Queasy made like at least 700 tweets about this, but the other side is actually more that it's just kind of unfair mobility. Now, they're relatively rare to find, and they are infinite mobility, so they're continually regenerating and recharging, which means that basically every single rotation is really, really easy when it comes to a competitive game. In particular, endgame, like you could really just essentially for the first moving zone, you could just dash to front side, box up, dash again, you've made it through. That's it. It really removed a lot of the complexities of endgame, and same thing with the mid-game. It was pretty easy. The problem, though, is it makes it so easy for those players, but if you don't have a jetpack, which is a lot of the lobby because they are rare, that means you are really, really, really struggling to rotate. Because if you've got to think about all of these players who have hover jets, they fly to the front side of the zone, they can just loop back and hold you. And if you have no mobility, you're trying to run and sprint this, you're going to waste so many more materials being sprayed. It really wasn't a very fair and balanced item. And if everyone had them, so they increased the spawn rate in competitive a lot, that would make every rotate just so easy and so stupid. So as much as I love the item, and I think it's really, really fun to use, I don't think for the FNCS Global Championships, the item was a very good idea to have in the meta, so they did remove it. So really, really good job from Epic. Thank you very much. I always praise Epic when they do good things, because I also always rip the hell out of them when they do bad things. So, you know, I'm trying to be, I'm fair, okay? Essentially what this means is, in ranked and pubs, they are still there. In ranked in particular, you no longer, as I mentioned, can do the far dash, but you can still use them, which is, I'm very thankful about, because I've been having a ton of fun playing ranked this season. But the main impact now is, what is that going to have on the tournament meta? The last video put out on this channel was literally the hover jets in the thumbnail, talking about them being the meta, and of course, they were absolutely pretty much everything to do with it. Now that they're gone, things are going to change up a lot. So for solos in particular, say solo cash cups that are going to be running this season, I was trying to figure out what items you're going to really carry and what's going to be the main meta. And you're always probably just going to carry one of the assault rifles and one of the shotguns. People have asked me all season, I've made shorts on it, and the more I've played this season, the more I've thought, the assault rifle you want to choose is probably preference. The shotgun you want to choose is also probably preference too. If you're good with one of them, you'll be good with it, and they'll be your choice. Like, you know, personally, I'm going to either run striker AR or combat AR, whichever one I find in higher rarity, and a pump shotgun, not a gatekeeper. For solos, I can run gatekeeper. Anyway, that's not the point. My shotgun and AR meta is not as relevant, but you're going to run some AR and you're going to run some shotgun. Then, because the only mobility item this season is really Flowberry Fizz that's left in the inventory, it's probably a bit of a mandatory carry to take the Flowberry Fizz, and then medkits, and then probably big pots as well, just to make sure you've got heals. The medkits, of course, will allow you to heal off in Storm a little bit longer and keep moving. So Now you kind of, because you're not carrying the hover jets, it opens up an inventory slot for you to carry like another heal in solos essentially. So Fizz, medkits, and bigs, or minis if you've not been able to find 3 bigs, which means that there's gonna be a lot more opportunity for you to play off in a Storm. The other problem though is that because you have like other options, now it incentivizes people to carry the new pistol more, which means you can carry AR, shotgun, the pistol, double heals. And the problem with that is now that there's a no mobility meta, there's just gonna be people just holding you with this pistol, just shooting you all the time, which it could be frustrating. I don't think that's like the meta to carry, because you're basically playing to grief other people using that pistol. You're not really using it to actually like get kills unless you open with a big tag and then you're actually going to key them. That's fine. But I still think the best loadout will be double weapon, triple heal, essentially for solos. For duos, again, this is where maybe the pistol makes a little bit more sense here, because if you've ever tried carrying the pistol and the shotgun only, it's great for dealing big damage, but almost no matter what shotgun you take, it's really hard to start pressuring walls after that. So say you hit someone in the head with a pistol, okay, how are you going to start actually pressuring the wall, like from a distance? How are you going to close that gap? You don't have mobility items to get there quickly, and you don't have a spray weapon to start damaging the other walls. So basically, pistol shotgun alone doesn't make sense. But now, because you don't have to carry the hover jets, now you could have both players carrying AR and shotgun. One of them carries the pistol double heals, and the other one just carries triple heals or something like that. So now there's a lot more reason to carry this pistol, which is going to be annoying. Very annoying in the cash cups in the lead up to the FNCS Global Championships. I think in FNCS Globals a lot more people will be carrying pistol anyway because of the surge, but that's besides the point. Another option I see here is that this may potentially make Captain America's shield a little bit more viable. Now, I've said this since the start of the season, the structure damage on this is really insane. If you throw it, it does 125. So again, now that you don't have to carry the hover jets, both players could just carry the Captain America's shield instead in their inventory, and you can double throw it at walls. So because it does 125 structure damage in a single throw, if you double throw this at anyone who's just built like a floor or something in endgame, this will immediately knock players down. So I think in duos, we could definitely see, in particular in the Global Championships, a meta where you're going to see a lot more Captain America shields being held and just chucked at people's floors, dropping them down for easy refreshes like that. Same thing with wall replaces. There's ways you can do this. You can also use dashing. If you like charge with it, it does 150 structure damage. You're going to go straight through walls. So I see that the Captain America shield in duos is probably going to become way more of the meta. And I said it from basically day one, this has definitely been an underrated item just because everyone's been carrying hover jets instead. So what does this actually mean for the mobility meta and the meta generally going into the FNCS Global Championships, which is on the 7th and 8th of September? Well, basically, Fizz is the only mobility, as we've already mentioned, unless Epic are going to unvault something totally different, which would be strange. I mean, they did unvault Crashpad Juniors every season so far, so that might be strange. But looking back at this chapter, the mobility has been kind of strange. So Fizz and Crash Pads have been in every single season so far outside of this one, because it's just Fizz. In season 1, they had grapple blades, so that was an infinite form of mobility, but it was very balanced because it was quite slow, it was clunky, kind of easy for you to get shot outside of the fact that it was horrifically laggy. That's a whole different story though. Season 2 had wings, the bananas of the gods, and then of course the Grim Gate medallion. So it was a relatively low mobility meta. Like you had the bananas that give you speed boost, wings, which most people didn't understand how good they were up until the day 2 of Grands, and then the Grim Gate medallion, which only one person had. So for most people, it was like wings, which were pretty balanced, and bananas of the gods, which were like just basically speed boost. And then last season, again, we had Fizz, Crash Pad, Juniors, and then the Nitro Splashes. So like we've had relatively low and good balanced mobility when it comes to end games in particular. So now we just have Fizz. So it's kind of crazy that without any Crash Pad Juniors, all of the rotates are just going to have to be Fizz or Sprint. So for Globals, this is going to be like a very, very highly skilled mobility meta. For solo cash cups, good luck, because the average solo cash cup player is not smart enough to make good rotates on foot, which is very, very annoying. But one thing that this will mean is that, well, I mean, there's two really strong things now. The first thing is Forecast. No mobility meta. Forecast is incredibly, incredibly strong. I also said this in one of the previous videos before I even mentioned the jets, because I didn't think they were that good for mobility, and I was wrong. But now they were insane. Forecast in a no mobility meta is even more powerful. So for those teams who are consistently going for Forecast, so think Clix and Vino going into Sandy, with the potential of them fighting Peterbot and Poyo, but Peterbot and Poyo right now are heavily contested off spawn, so I'm not sure how much they'll be fighting. Also, Vigo and Flixie, who won EU last season, they've been fighting for the forecast tower to their south every single game in Grands. They got it every single game in Grands. So these teams are now even more buffed by the fact that everyone's going to be slowly rotating, and they can always be the one ahead of them in a better position. They can be holding them, next zone pops, they can go ahead, they can always be that single zone ahead, so that's going to be crazy. Another thing is teams up in the top left will be a little bit more buffed, as they'll be able to take the River Styx dashes, so, you know, the Grimgate Medallion dashes as is. In a nobility meta, you can essentially just grab 3 of those dashes and keep them for the entire game. Then with Fizz and those dashes, you can use those to rotate kind of throughout maybe the 6th or the first 2 moving zones. So you can actually save a ton of materials that way. So the teams in the top left of the map will also be benefited, but a lot of the main benefits from this is if you rotate anywhere past, a lot of teams will probably change their rotation path just to grab those 3 dashes to ensure they actually have something for endgame, which is going to be kind of insane. Let me know if you think this is a good change. For me, I think this is great for competitive. I do hope they bring it back after Globals, I'm going to be real, because I've been having a ton of fun with it. And even though I understand that the Jets are not the most competitive item, I think they're just fun. And it just makes solo cash cups, duo cash cups, all these just more fun in my opinion. Not good for FNCS, which again, it's already removed, so that's fine. But for tournaments that I'm going to play for the rest of the season, like, I'd rather have it in, because people are too stupid to play zero mobility metas at low elo and medium elo and even high elo, quite frankly. So yeah, peace.